It's the perfect chance to put his stamp on the team, put his philosophy on the team, get those progressive style of players. And I think we're going to see a Rocky 3 here. Do you remember in Rocky 3 when Stallone gets trained by Apollo Creed and he completely changes his style of fighting? I'm going to call League One Club a Lang. And I think we're going to see a completely different Blues team, a completely different style of football. So welcome back to Small Heath Alliance FC. And finally, last week, Birmingham City announced that Chris Davies is going to be the men's first team manager. And last week, I did a little video, it was by myself, and I covered a little bit about Chris's career, some of the achievements he's managed to achieve to date, some of the teams he's worked with, and some of the positions he's previously taken. And in this video, we're going to discuss a little bit about Chris, what we might expect, and what he might bring to Birmingham City. And Dad is back off holiday this week, so I'm going to fire it straight over to you, Dad. What are your first initial thoughts on Chris? And is this a big risk, or do you think it's a stroke of genius?
So the answer to that question really is only time will tell. As with any appointment of a manager, I'm really, really happy with the appointment. And I think looking at social media, Matt, the vast majority of the Blues fan base are particularly excited about this because I think there was a lot of names banded around over the last couple of weeks or month, whatever, however long it is we've been looking for a new manager. And every name that was mentioned, there was always, oh no, we don't want that person. Oh yeah, we want this person. And there was a real mixed difference in the fan base about some liked him, some didn't. And that's the problem with appointing a name manager, somebody who has been at clubs before. Yes, you get the benefit of experience, there's no doubt about that. But the problem is they also come with baggage. So there's always something that they would have done in their previous jobs that people wouldn't have liked. But this appointment is fresh, it's new, and it really meets with the expectation, I believe, of the vision for the club in terms of they want this new approach, this fresh start. We talked last season, Matt, in post-match videos about this reset. You can only really have a proper reset by doing something like this because it's something that is completely unknown. I personally am very, very, very happy with this appointment and think it is a risk. Of course it is, but any manager appointment is a risk. But I think it's the right one for us right now.
Progressive coach, that's what they've wanted, isn't it? And I think they were trying to achieve that with Rooney, but it went the wrong way, whereas they've done their due diligence this time. I heard there was 1,000 people in for the job. They did 50 different interviews.
Yep.
He suits the progressive, possession-based, attacking style of football that the owners, that Wagner and Cook want. And I'm really impressed with the way they've managed to keep this behind closed doors.
Yeah.
They went through this process properly. They've done their due diligence, as I said. And just to come back to some of the names you mentioned, we all heard them on social media. Alex Neil, Gary Rowett, Paul Heckingbottom. So
Frank
Lampard. And I think there was two different trails of thought. And I spoke about this in the video last week. There was a safe pair of hands who you knew was possibly going to get you out of League One, but then not take you any further, a little bit of an uninspiring journey? Or do we want someone here for the long haul who's going to take the project through League One Championship and through to the Premier League? And there's a lot of different sort of expectations of the club. People are saying a 5-year Premier League goal. I don't think that's completely outrageous or unachievable. And I'm really happy the club have gone for that. Some people have said Joe Edwards and Kieran McKenna, because Joe Edwards was a bit of a flop and Kieran McKenna's done amazingly. I'm going to go glass half full, and I'm going to hope that we've got the next Kieran McKenna on our hands.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his CV as well, he hasn't been the manager at any club, but if you look at his record of teams that he's been assistant manager, and also, obviously he was assistant manager for Brendan Rodgers at Leicester, Celtic, and he's obviously assistant manager to Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham, which he did last year. I think that that those appointments as assistant manager will give him a lot of experience anyway, because he would have seen how those different style of managers would have gone about their business, and so he would have gleaned a lot of experience from those type of things. So his CV, he hasn't got a manager appointment on his CV up until now, but you can't argue with the clubs that he's actually been assistant manager for.
And I think this is the perfect time to employ a progressive style of manager. And so just to come back to your point, Brendan Rodgers has been the man he's stuck around with and been loyal the most. But yes, I think we're in League One. There is a reset. We've got loads of players leaving out of contract and will be sold. It's the perfect chance to put his stamp on the team, put his philosophy on the team, get those progressive style of players. And I think we're going to see a Rocky 3 here. Do you remember in Rocky 3 when Stallone gets trained by Apollo Creed and he completely changes his style of fighting? I'm going to call League One Club a Lang. And I think we're going to see a completely different Blues team, a completely different style of football. I think when we go down to St.Andrews, And we can talk about the risk here because there is a risk element to it and there is a timing element to it. And it's not all going to be fireworks from day one. We're going to hit speed bumps. We're going to have, glitches in the road. But I think we're going to see such a different style of football. Exciting, going at teams, possession-based, attacking. We're going to see goals going in. And I think it's a really exciting time to make this kind of appointment.
I think the timing is crucial. Because think about getting a manager in partway through a season, is by that point something's already gone wrong because the manager's been replaced or they've obviously gone to a different team.
Yeah.
But this is now the perfect timing because, as you mentioned, Matt, he has the opportunity now to get in the players that he wants to suit his style of football, and he's got a whole pre-season ahead of him now. We've got an exciting transfer window coming up, and he can get in the players, obviously with the recruitment team, that he think will suit what he wants to do. And you're right, I don't think any Blues fan would argue, Matt, that we had to change what we did.
Oh, it's been rubbish it's been rubbish for 13 years, but the style of play of the last 5 especially, it's been diabolical, hasn't it? Back-footed, catching teams on the break, 1 or 2-0, 3 wins on the road this year. It really has been poor, hasn't it? Just to back up your point there.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it's well known that he likes the Pep Guardiola sort of style of football in terms of like possession-based, quick transition, one touch here, there, and everywhere. And there is an element of risk with that style of play, but that's how teams get promoted. That's how teams win trophies. And if you get the right players in to play that type of system, it will make for a really exciting, team to watch next season and beyond, hopefully. But that's the problem, I think. When Rooney came in, he tried to do that with the players that we had, and they just were not able to do it.
Yeah.
And I think if you listen to the John Ruddy podcast on the Foscast with Ben Foster,
good listen, isn't
it? It is a good listen, but it does highlight a number of things in relation to the way that John Ruddy mentioned that the players mentioned it in the dressing room after a couple of games that they didn't feel comfortable or able to play that style of football. Now we've got this clean slate. We're going to have a lot of players coming in now over the summer transfer window, over this up-and-coming transfer window, and that will enable them to target the players that they believe that will be able to suit that style of play. So it's a completely different situation.
Completely different. And I think we're going to see our tactics adapt to our opposition more as well, because the one thing I mentioned in the video last week was that one of the things that got me excited the most was the position he had at Liverpool, which was head of opposition analysis. So he knows how to analyse the opponents. He knows that you have your core fundamentals as a team. You know how to play football. But what I mean is you have to take every game on a game-by-game basis. If you've got a team that likes to get balls aggressively into the box, you've got teams that go aggressively down the wings, through the middle, whatever that strategy is, you need to learn how to defend or to play against your opposition. And we're going to see a lot more adaptability and flexibility in that region this year, and I think that's incredible. And I've got a quick story before that. So he was playing with at Liverpool with Brendan Rodgers, and Arsenal, the game against Arsenal were coming up, and Liverpool were renowned, I'm just going to quote it here, for a more possession-based football. And he noticed something in the Arsenal setup, and he said to Brendan Rodgers, actually, for this game, we need to go in a transitional type of counter-attack. They won that game 5-1. So he picked up a flaw in the Arsenal strategy, told Brendan Rodgers we need to flip it. So he did his research. He knew his players and his team so well how to counter that kind of football. And they go and turn over Arsenal 5-1. I'm sure his strategy didn't work every single week in, week out. And he was there for 2 years, 3 years, and I've picked up a very specific, brilliant incident. But how amazing is that he's got an eye for strategy. He knows the opposition. He knows his own teams. And I think we're going to see that at Birmingham City.
But that's so important, because how many times have we... I know you've referenced the previous seasons and how poor it's been for us to watch as fans at Birmingham City, but we alluded, last season in our post-match analysis videos about the lack of plan B. That once we ended up going a goal behind, there didn't seem to be any plan to either change formation or bring the players on. It was always, just bring on a few players at a certain point in time. The strategy didn't change. But we need a manager like that who has the brain to realise and read a game, see what's going on, see the players, see how his players are adapting to what he's asked them to do. And if they're not working, change it. Even if it means changing the formation or system. At least we were so disappointed last season when the team went 1-0 down or whatever we conceded, about our lack of ability to be able to do anything about it. That needs to change. I think under Chris, that will change because he's well known as a really good communicator, from what I've read. He's really well known as a good strategist as well. He's very meticulous in his preparation, so he will know the opposition inside out and know exactly what he needs to do.
Yep.
And that's something we've lacked for so long, which is why I'm really pleased we've gone for this appointment, because if they'd appointed, let's say, Gary Rowett, and no disrespect to Gary Rowett, I'm so thankful for what he'd done for our club when he came in. Okay, we got relegated, but he tried his best. But you don't feel that there's a plan B there with that manager. So if Gary Rowett came in, you'd sort of know what was going to happen. This is different.
Yeah,
it feels different.
It does feel different.
It feels different, and it feels like a good appointment. And you mentioned just Matt, about this potential risk, and people are making comparisons with Joe Edwards when he went in at Millwall, similar type of thing. But I see that could happen because there is that element of risk, but. I'm more confident with this appointment, more excited about this appointment than I would be if we'd bought in
Alex Neil or a safe pair of hands, so to speak.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, we would have got behind whoever was appointed, but this actually feels like someone who I want to really get behind and get excited about.
Yeah, exciting. High risk, high reward, and it's exciting times to be a Blues fan. I really believe that, and it's like you said, Dad. When Blues go 1-0 down, 2-0 down, for the past 5 years, 10 years, I don't ever feel like we're really capable of getting back into games. Actually Swansea last season we did, but they were down to 10 men and all sorts of stuff went on there. But generally speaking, when was the last time we had a Blues team where we could, feel confident we can still be in a game going down 2-0 down at half time? I think this season, if we go 1-2 down, we're not going to need to press the panic button. I think he's going to have the ability to get us back into games if that day ever comes. But it's an exciting time to be a Blues fan. And I've just got one more point for me, which I want to pick up on, which is really, really key and really exciting as well. He's renowned for developing and giving young players a chance. When you think about JJ, whether he's here or not, fair enough. He has established himself. You got Chang, Donovan, Dixon, all these under 21s, all these under 18 players. I think we're going to see them getting some pitch time this season. For me, that's exciting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does with these young players.
I noticed that as well. I've picked up that the youth players, I think, will be really happy that he's been appointed, because I think they will start to get some chances, because he likes to bring youth through. And my final point really is I think that his appointment is going to spell the end for some players. I think some players that are currently contracted are not going to suit his style of play. We saw it last season, so I think we're going to see a massive window.
Can I challenge you on that to get some names? Who do you think?
In particular, who stands out for me is Dembele. I think that we've mentioned him before on so many podcasts. There's no doubt in his ability going forward, but I don't think he would do unless he changes his game and they can coach him to bring that element of it to his game where he can contribute when we're out of possession as well. I think he's at significant risk of being sold, because I just don't think he's going to suit that style of play. There are others as well. I mean, Bakuna's another one. As good as he is going forward, he's another one that gives us an element of risk if they don't do the dirty work, let's say, at the back as well. So, and there could be others as well. We know that JJ is heavily linked with a move away. So I think that we're going to see a very significant move of players now. Now
Honestly,
that he's been appointed.
From last season, when we start that first game in August, I would be surprised if we have 4 or more from last season starting. I think we're going to have a completely new team and new squad. I think we're going to see 10 plus players come through the door and about 4 to 6 leave as well. So we're going to have a massive turnaround. I mean, in fact, those numbers don't add up. If 4 to 6 leave, we're possibly going to have to bring in more than that to fill the squad up, aren't we? But my point is, there's going to be a huge turnaround, and we're going to have a completely different squad.
And there's going to be a lot of players linked to us as well. And
there already is. It's funny because the manager got announced last Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we've been linked with loads of players. It's hilarious.
And that's going to continue as well. But it's difficult on these. Particularly as we know that we a lot of Blues fans now watch our podcast. So we don't want to give information out unless we are fairly comfortable or confirm that things have actually happened. So we'll discuss speculation, but
and also Gary Cook said he wants to get a championship team ready, even for League One. So I think you said this a couple of weeks back, Dad, and you went, we're going to be really surprised at the calibre and the standard of players that come through the door. Yeah. And again, I know they're rumours and they're links. We're not going to speculate. We try not to do that as much as we can on this podcast. But the names I've been hearing are outrageous, in terms of really high championship level players. And if we can bring those in, I think the first transfer is really important because it's a statement. if we can bring in a big name first
Yeah.
through the door, it's a statement of intent from this club that we mean business, and
Yeah.
and it opens the floodgates in theory that other players might go, why are they going to Birmingham City? And we will have a salary. We will be competitive in the salary market with salaries to attract players, and it's Birmingham. It's a big city. It's middle of the country. There's a lot of positive factors to this club that I think we can bring in a lot of top talent. So for me, I think this is going to be exciting summer for this club.
I think it will. And just on one final point for me about players coming in, this is the downside of being relegated to League One, is that we are going to be linked with good players, but they're also going to be linked with Championship and probably higher leagues as well. And it's whether those players are going to be willing to want to come down to League One for possibly a season. We hope, but that's the thing. That's the big thing about the relegation, is that when we come to signing players, it depends on how willing the players are and whether they believe that the club are really pushing for where they want to be.
I actually think packing the team out with high-end Championship players is a disaster. I think you need some experienced League One players as well.
Yeah, I think we'll see that.
So fair enough, we might be linked with everyone under the sun for the next couple of weeks. I'm sure we will be. But actually, let's strip it back. We need people who have played in League One before. Don't get me wrong, we need the balance. If we can get a low Premier League, high Championship quality player, I'm not saying let's not get them. Absolutely, we should be pushing the boat out as much as we can. But in the mix, in the grafty, dirty part of the game, we need League One experience, in my opinion, and because they're going to know how to fight, they're going to know how to graft. And we said it last season that we had no desire or passion on the pitch. We need League One experience, in my opinion. Well.
I'm sure the club have identified that, Matt, and obviously now it's down to the recruitment team to take the same approach to recruiting players as the approach they have to the manager. If they do that, I think we'll be absolutely fine.
I couldn't agree more. But you've just heard what we think, Blues fans. What are your thoughts? Are you excited by the appointment of Chris Davies? It's been about 4 or 5 days now since the announcement. How are you feeling? Are you still on the side of big high risk, high reward? Do you think it was a good appointment? As you can tell, me and Dad are both really excited. It's been a progressive appointment, and we can't wait to see what impact Chris has on the team and on the club in general. But as you know, as always, please let us know what your thoughts. Please drop us a comment in the section below, and we'll get around to those as quickly as we can. We love to hear and engage with the fans that do post comments. We really do enjoy it. And if you like this video specifically, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to check us out on our social media channels, on our X page and our Instagram page, and you'll see those handles popping up on the screen right now. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any future content. And me and Dad will see you on the next video all about Birmingham City.